Hi, I'm Wendy Friedman, and I just gave birth on April 3rd to my second child. My older son is Asher, and he's almost 4 years old. He has a new baby brother. It's mixed if he likes him or not. Originally, I was supposed to be induced on a Saturday night at like 10 o'clock. I was really scared to be induced, so I was like very relieved when I went into labor before my actual induction date. Thursday, April 2nd, I started having irregular contractions that morning. My contractions became like more regular, and we started sort of timing them. Around 8 o'clock, Asher went to bed. Finally, I was like, I think we need to call the doctor. So we called my doctor around 11. She was like, you should probably get to the hospital right now. We left as soon as my brother-in-law got to our apartment. So we drove to the hospital. We got there like around midnight. And as soon as we got into the hospital lobby, the guard handed us each a mask. It was like totally empty. There was nobody there. They checked us in. First part before triage, they brought us into a room and they took our temperature and they asked us like a bunch of questions, like if we've been exposed, if we've been with anyone that's had COVID, things like that. And once she saw our temperatures were okay, they put us back into the waiting room, and then they brought me into triage by myself. When my doctor examined me and she determined like I was far enough along that she was able to admit me, then they wheeled me to the actual room that I was gonna give birth in. My labor actually went pretty fast. I did have to wear a mask throughout my birth. I was pulling it down, I will say. By the time I was like actually in the labor room, it was like 1 a.m. and then my son was born at like 2:45. I definitely felt very relieved when he was here. I didn't have an epidural. I delivered him with no interventions. Originally, I was supposed to have a doula with me as well. I was very upset that my doula couldn't be there. My doula I had for my first birth was like so important as part of my birth process. I think since this was my second time going through it, my husband was a great support person. I knew that once they moved me to a postpartum room, my husband wasn't going to be able to stay with me. They originally told me he'd only be able to stay like 2 hours, but he actually was able to stay with me like 4 hours. They're using the postpartum floors for COVID patients. They only started this like maybe 2 days before I got there. They're moving all the healthy women and babies to this other building. If it did come out that I had COVID-19, then they would probably keep me in the hospital. A NICU doctor came to check out Noah before we moved to make sure it was safe for him to go. Initially, when I found out about this, I was like upset, I was worried, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. In the end, it's like they're trying to get the mothers and babies out of the hospital and just like keep them safe. The transport team took me in the stretcher. 2 nurses took Noah. I said goodbye to my husband. It was a weird feeling. I knew it wouldn't be that long. Where I was moved to, it was like one big room shared amongst everybody. I mean, it was separated by curtains. Let's say I had to go to the bathroom. That was like a whole production because I had to get a nurse to like watch the baby. I couldn't just go because I didn't have like my own bathroom. It was like a shared bathroom. So that was also kind of different. There are nurses there. The nurses are very accommodating. They're trying their best. This is new for them too. I think it helps that this was like my second, and my recovery wasn't necessarily that bad. If I had like a more difficult recovery, there's no option of putting a baby in like the nursery there. Literally the baby's like next to you the whole time. So it's a different experience. It was a little more than 24 hours by the time I got to the postpartum area that I was discharged. I was discharged about 11, and I was brought to that room around 7 the previous day. What was challenging was that my husband couldn't come in to like help me leave. Now I have this day-old baby, and I had to like dress him, get my stuff together like by myself. Finally, when I received the discharge papers, they had somebody come in with a wheelchair. I held baby Noah in my arms because I didn't have a car seat. Someone wheeled me outside. Somebody else like had my bags, and Howie was like standing outside. He wasn't allowed to come in. Once you're home with the baby, it could be a little bit of a challenging time. I was more worried about the birth when I should have been more worried about the postpartum period. My older son is home, and I was expecting him to be at school. He has a lot of needs, and now he has no routine, and we're all very tired. Also, we're not having anybody come to the house right now. As much as we really want to, that's part of this situation. And all the doctors, the pediatrician is like, no, stay away from everybody, at least until he's 2 months old. Because the scariest part is if the baby gets sick, he has to go to the hospital. So it's really hard just being alone, like during this time. We could really use some support right now, and we don't have that support. There's a lot of like scare out there about what's happening at hospitals right now, but it's really not so bad. Hospitals, the nurses, the doctors, they're still doing their jobs. They're making sure that all women are safe, babies are safe, everyone's safe. I know I was very worried about the situation, but it really wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. In the end, you're gonna have a healthy baby and your baby will be here soon. It's just a time to bond with your baby, and if you're gonna be stuck inside, what better excuse to have a newborn?